Good afternoon, everyone. This is going to be part 4 and the final part in our series of our 5 oversold stocks with high short interest. In case you haven't been following along the series, I'll make sure to link all 3 parts in the description box below. But a quick gist, part 1, this was our weekend homework on Sunday. We created a list of 5 stocks. These were 5 stocks that gave us our oversold signal, had an overall uptrend, and also had high short interest. Here's a list of all 5 stocks, just in case you want to read it: KNSA, MTZ, RRC, RVLV, and TWNK. Throughout the week, parts 2 and 3 are capturing 4 out of the 5 stocks there, which have already triggered. And in part 4, this video right here, we finally have our 5th and final candidate triggering. So hopefully that goes to extend to this idea where you can do homework one time on Sunday every week. Create a list of stocks that meet whatever setup you like to trade. For us, that's using our edge signal, our slingshot squeeze, and our squeeze signals indicators. You can use whatever you trust and like to trade. And then once you have that list of stocks, you can focus down throughout the week looking for intraday opportunities. For us volatility box members, that means a slingshot squeeze and a squeeze signal on a 1 minute time frame chart. If we get any of those, that then allows us to actually trade some moves. In parts 2 and 3, you'll notice 4 out of the 5 stocks gave us trend and fade setups, so 2 different kinds of trades. And in today's video, we'll discuss the final trade. This was in KNSA, which gave us our final trend trade opportunity in the 5th and final candidate. A quick preview of the dashboard before we get to charts. You'll notice here none of the stocks are on either side's volatility box edge today. This is a bit of a contrast from yesterday's video. That was part 3, Wednesday's video, in which we had stocks like RRC and TWNK actually tag our upper volatility box edges. That's this side right here. And we also had stocks like RVLV, Revolve, tag the lower edge of our volatility box. Today, we had fairly muted volatility in all 5 of these stocks. Just a bare minimum move kind of day in KNSA. This is right around a 1.7-ish% trade, which I'll talk about in just a second. All right, so let's come into our charts here first. Let's start first with the daily time frame chart to set the scene. And I'll hide the volatility box to start off. So let's click show study, apply. All right, so on Sunday, KNSA was on our radar because of this edge signal right here. The edge signal is our overbought, oversold indicator. And in this case, we had an oversold signal in an otherwise uptrend. This is confirmed by the green market pulse line. And we were looking for a move away from the market pulse. In case you don't have the market pulse, I'll link that in the description as well, but that's also a free indicator. Now, after that, the next few days, so this was 2 days ago, March 9th, 2021, we had a slingshot squeeze. We didn't have our intraday candidates that day, but we did have a slingshot squeeze. So if I load in our slingshot squeeze back tester here to give us an idea of what kind of stats should we expect with that, let's load that in. You'll notice on a 5-year chart with the slingshot squeeze, we've had just one trade, one winner, 0 losers. That one winner was good for 7.45%. It was about 3 days long. So that again helps to confirm this bullish bias that we had in mind. Now let's come back into our chart here. So far we've established our reason on Sunday why we had bullish bias that only was exaggerated with the slingshot squeeze, which also backtested fairly well on March 9th. And then finally today on a 1 minute time frame chart, intraday activity here, you'll notice we had 2 squeeze signals early on in the morning. This was also supported with our bullish market pulse line. This is the same trend setup that we've talked about in parts 2 and 3 of this video, so I won't talk about it too much. Here, you did have a bit of a pullback here. The actual entry was close to that 23.30 zone. We went all the way down to right around that 23 mark, which also seemed to fill that previous gap or get close to it before we had a reversal. Once we did have that confirmed low, we had our 1272 extension, and that was our first target. That was at 23.80, so right around a 50-cent gain right here. Our stretch target in KNSA was the stock volatility box short target line. That was on the other side, right around 25.03. That was not anywhere close to getting hit today. And so price action here, again, with the fairly muted volatility day that we had, ended at right around 23.90, just a bit shy of our high today, which was 24.22. So still a nice trade in terms of where price action ended, but not as much as we saw with some of our other candidates like RRC and TWNK, where we had stretch targets as well, all the way up to our volatility box edges. So just as a quick recap here of the final trades that we had, at least as part of this mini series here, we had MTZ on Monday. This was a trend trade opportunity. We then had RRC and TWNK on Wednesday. These were also trend trade opportunities. In RRC in particular, we also had a short opportunity once we hit our target for our longs. That was also a winner. And then in RVLV, we had a long opportunity, which was a fade setup. This was also covered in part 3, I believe. And that fade setup also gave us a winner, but did not give us an opportunity to enter if you're waiting for the edge signal confirmation. So just to point that out. And so that was headed into today. And then today, as we just pointed out, we had KNSA. We only had a trend trade trigger. And then for the most part today, all of these stocks stayed inside of their volatility box edges. But again, the overall idea here is doing homework that one time on Sunday. In our case, that was creating a list of 5 oversold stocks, which was a simple scan that we have, the edge signal scan. Then checking to make sure that we had an overall bullish trend. We used the market pulse indicator for that. And then we also tried to narrow down the list further using short interest in our actual short interest scanner right here inside of the platform. But you can narrow down your list however you'd like. And then finally, once you have that, you have an intraday setup based on whatever trigger laid out ahead of time, a plan that you can follow. Again, for our volatility box members, that's a slingshot squeeze or a squeeze signal indicator on a 1-minute time frame chart. And once all of those pieces come together, which sounds like a lot, but is really not a lot, you have the comings of, I think, a good daily directional bias trade, which is supported with an intraday time frame trade in which you're allowing the trade to have a bit more flexibility as you have more confidence in that overall idea. All right, I hope you found this 4-part mini series helpful, along with this gist of taking an idea on a weekend and then following it throughout the rest of the week to really see what happens from the setup of an actual idea. All right, take care, everyone. Good luck trading, and we'll see you in the next update.